Oh, come on, Wade. I know you like it rough. Deadpool 2! I have just gotten back from the theater, and given that I am getting this one out quicker than I have the last few reviews, I will do that thing that I haven't done in a while, which is stay spoiler-free for as long as I'm able to before getting into specifics with the spoilers. So, if you like Deadpool 1, you are probably going to enjoy this. Unless you wanted it to be more than Deadpool 1 kind of again. So I'm still kind of processing, but right now I'm fighting the instinct to be a little bit disappointed. Now, I also don't want to overstate that because it's not bad. It's good, and actually there are parts, there are segments, there's 3 in particular that I think are flat out great. But there are the overall what I had hoped for out of this movie coming in was, now that we had the first movie, which was a fair, honestly, at the end of the day, despite its odd structure and a fourth wall breaking character, was at the end of the day a fairly straightforward origin story for a superhero. I was hoping that they only needed that to basically get it through the system, and then now that they have and they knew audiences wanted more, they were going to go nuts with it. They were really going to lean into some of the more out there and outrageous and just bonkers kind of stuff that Deadpool gets involved in. And they kind of don't. Like I said, there are bits, there are moments, but by and large, they use the same formula again of having, honestly, strip out the jokes, and it's a very straightforward, kind of bog standard superhero style story. There's not that a lot that feels unique about the core concept of the film. It's only the trappings which make it Deadpool. It's the costumes, it's the occasional quip from him, it's the every now and then fourth wall break. But I wanted them to mess with the DNA of this thing a bit more. Not like have it not feel like Deadpool, but like really up the percentage that was the feel of the character himself, as opposed to just him kind of tweaking the nose of all the serious folks. I wanted that feel to bleed over into the story. But that isn't really what happened. Now, that might to a certain extent just be one of those issues that happens, I think, especially with Geeks, which is that we go in with a hope for the movie we want to see, and then we don't get it. And sometimes that means that there's a movie that's good that we still don't fully appreciate. It's basically kind of a weird, twisty geek version of being overhyped or overexcited about something. I'm not sure this is that, though, because I didn't have very specific expectations. At least in my experience, when people tend to have that happen to them, it's usually because like they had in their idea like, oh, if I was gonna make this movie, this is what I would do, and they've got something specific in mind. I didn't. I just had a general vibe, a general like percentage of serious to just nuts that I wanted, that less serious, more nuts, and I didn't have anything specific that I wanted. And I also do feel that there is a difference between that thing that happens when you just didn't get the movie you wanted, and kind of wasted potential, which wasted is an overstatement, but I think there's missed potential in this film. And I think some of the sequences, which are, in my mind, the best sequences in the film, those show me glimpses of what this could have been if they had really cut loose. And they kind of didn't. It's sort of the funny paradox of these kinds of franchises. Not that Deadpool is necessarily like anything else, but I mean like something that is bold and daring and is like a whole new thing. It comes out, and whether it's a TV show or a movie or a piece of music, an album, whatever, it comes out and you go, whoa, I was not expecting that. I can't, now that they have clout, now that they have like a safety net of support, I can't wait to see them really go out on a limb. But behind the scenes, they're going, okay, we took a big risk and it paid off. Let's play it safe now so that we don't lose the value of this IP we've now created. And so you end up with something that doesn't, I'm not going to say does nothing new, but doesn't feel nearly as bold as the first film did. And I mean, I almost said to a certain extent it can't, but it could. But it can't if it's going to do more or less the same thing again. Then it can't be as impactful, as fresh, as just new, because something can't be new twice. So since it can't be new twice, I think what you need to do, especially with a property like this, is go bigger, go crazier with it. Or in the case of, the more straight-laced superhero films, you dive into character a bit more. Rather than trying to go bigger, you go more personal. Which is kind of how things like Captain America, the Winter Soldier did. That's not necessarily a bigger scale story than the first Avenger was, but it's a more personal story. And then, you had the mix of personal and large scale in Civil War. But when you basically just sort of come in and do more or less the same thing again, and the big part of the appeal of the first one was how fresh it was, guess what? It ain't fresh the second time around. And I've been mostly talking about sort of my down issues with it. And I'm now kind of annoyed with myself because that makes it sound actually more negative than I want to be, because I did enjoy it and it was fun, and there are some things that are, like I said, phenomenal. The opening credit sequence, loved that. There's an action sequence in the middle. I don't even want to identify it because I don't want you to start like spinning your wheels trying to figure out what it is that goes on, but is the kind of craziness that I wanted, not to be isolated moments but more baked into the thing. But there is a sequence in the middle that is awesome for that, and there's a whole bunch of little great jokes, moments, bits scattered across the thing. So there is a lot here to like. It just it seems content with just refreshing what Deadpool was last time. And for me, that is a little bit disappointing. The highlight for me, I'm gonna have to get into spoilers in a minute. The highlight for me has to be Zazie Beetz as Domino, both in her performance and the way the character is used in the movie. She, at least to my taste, she walks away with this movie very much like Negasonic Teenage Warhead walked away with the first movie. Even though Negasonic Teenage Warhead appears in this one too, this one is, it's Domino. I'm like, oh god, yeah, give me more of that. And Ryan Reynolds he knows Deadpool. He knows how to play Deadpool, and he's doing him pretty well. Brolin as Cable works. He's not selling it as hard as, say, he sold Thanos. But the character he's working with is a bit more broad. And again, he works. And he's got the right dynamic going on with Reynolds in terms of being the real serious guy who just, he appreciates that this other guy has uses, but he really wishes he would just shut up. So that works well. There's other returning characters. There's new characters. I'm not sure I can talk too much about the rest of this. So yeah, that's the gist of it. It was good. I'm personally disappointed because I wanted them to really try to outdo themselves, and I feel like for the film as a whole, they didn't really try to do that. For a couple of sequences they did, but not for the film as a whole. So now getting into spoilers a little bit, I feel like sort of some of my irritation is actually well exemplified by the opening stretch of the film because Vanessa dies. And that irritated me because it's just something that I hate. Like, so we had a completed journey, an arc for a character and a couple in the last movie, and we want to do a sequel, but we want it to feel as much like the first one as possible. We can't have him have a happy home life. Oh, okay, don't worry, we'll just kill the love interest and undo basically the entire point of the climax of the last movie. I hate that. I always hate that. Same reason I hate Alien 3. You know, I hate that. Now, the film did win me back a little bit. I mentioned the opening credit sequence. First of all, it's the song Ashes by Celine Dion, which if you have not checked out that music video, check out that music video because it's awesome. And so it's that, and it's this very James Bond kind of a title sequence, and it's a lot of fun, and they mess with the credits like they did in the first one, and the credits are pretty much all in reaction to Vanessa having died, and their credits like, are you kidding me? Did they seriously just kill her? What the hell? Which was basically all my thoughts. And while I appreciate that that was there, and that did help a little, at the end of the day, that really kind of exemplifies my issues with the movie, because when you do something that is standard or expected or not particularly original, but also go, hey, we know that we did something unoriginal. Like, I can go, oh, okay, well, you recognize that. But then at the end of the day, structurally, you still did it. You just did it while going, woo, wacky. But you still did the same thing at the end of the day. So that, yeah, that kind of annoys me. And like I said, the acknowledgement of that does help it not ruin the movie for me. But I would rather they just didn't do that at all. I just did something way, less crappy. Because I'm sorry, killing off the love interest from the previous movie in the opening minutes of the sequel is a crappy thing to do. Especially when they've got really great chemistry, which they do. And I know they have her still appear because we've got the weird afterlife thing going on. And that's the other thing. The best sequences are the ones that are really just letting it rip with being irreverent. And that tone is clashing with this break the hero down, bring them to their lowest point thing that the movie is doing narratively. So the trappings, keep trying to be, ooh, this is wacky fun times, but the structure of the story is really he just lost everything. He wants to die. The other guy, the other major plot driver who is Cable, also lost his family. This is, and frankly, it's just played a bit too straight. It's too heavy. Because, they played the romance angle, and also, some of the beats in the original Deadpool were played straight as well. But there were also moments that were not inherently as heavy as this is. Because rescuing the girlfriend, that's a fairly light trope, because at the end of that, he gets back everything he was missing. So we can still have fun there. This one, he's trying for a bit of symbolic redemption, but he still lost everything he loved. That's a little too heavy for a movie where a guy keeps talking about his dick. The clash of tones, they're not blending as well as they were in the first film. But I really don't mean to be harping on the stuff that bother me. It's just as what's at the forefront of my mind. Okay, some spoiler stuff that was really good. The entire sequence of X-Force jumping out of the helicopter And at the end of it, they're all dead. All of them except Domino. And like I said, Domino rules. Love Domino in this. But that whole thing when when they got down and Bedlam hit the bus, I was like, is he dead? No, I don't know if he's dead. But then Shatterstar, because I mean, I don't know what the current standing of any of these characters are, but the only ones I knew were Shatterstar and Domino. And so in my mind, because I knew who they were bigger characters with a fan base. So when Shatterstar went, I'm like, oh God, they're all gonna die. And then I was just loving it. I'm just going, oh, this is fun. And it was the kind of irreverence that I really wanted out of more of the movie, because we just gone through this extended assemble the team thing. And well, that didn't work. Crap. Which, that was great. I love that. And I also love, as part of the tail end, when he's got the time thingy, the only one he saves is Peter. He doesn't save Bedlam or Zeitgeist or Shatterstar. The only one we see him save is Peter. That's good. That's a good callback. I like that too. I don't know how many other people even realize that. I feel like I was the only one who noticed. But yes, that was great. Some of the action sequences were pretty good. That was another thing. I was hoping they were going to up the action. I think they did pretty well, especially with Cable, with the variety of settings on the gun and and his sort of force field thing, and the fact that he could basically magnetize the gun to his back. All that played really well, so that was cool. Action stuff. The kid who played Russell, I don't know him. I think he was in For the Wilder People, which I haven't seen. But he, you know what? He did pretty well. He was called upon to be kind of laughable, but then also, kind of tragic and very angry. And he pulled that off pretty well. The Juggernaut, I did love the music and the soundtrack, and the big intonement of the choral voices, but they're swearing about how much crap the heroes are in because the Juggernaut has shown up. That was a cool touch. I enjoyed that. Although, you know what? Again, you want to talk missed opportunity. How did nobody make an I'm the Juggernaut bitch joke? I mean, that was like one of the first major memes I remember noticing after I realized what a meme was. And nobody? Really? All right. Yukio. Negasonic Teenage Warhead's girlfriend, she was great. And Wade immediately just clicking with her. That was great. She was just this overly peppy and just, yeah. And I love the whole thing where Negasonic Teenage Warhead is like, yeah, I got a girlfriend. What's your problem, you big? And he's like, whoa, I got no problem with that, but somebody actually wants to date you? That kind of stuff worked well. But then we had very repeated jokes. Ultimately, his payoff at the end worked well enough. I can't remember the taxi driver's name, but he was kind of a mix. Like, there were times that having him around was like, okay, and there were other times that no. But then we've got like sort of the classic mistake with comedy sequels, which is take one of the most memorable jokes, do it again, but longer and bigger. And they do that with the baby hand joke, now with baby legs. And it's the exact same joke. It hasn't changed, and it goes on for an embarrassingly long amount of time. And it's the same joke. And, instances like that didn't help either. So ultimately for me, this was a very mixed bag of a film, because you saw the smile on my face when it's good and when it's clicking and when it's doing stuff that is way more tweaking the nose of superheroes, not just with a snarky line, but with like a fundamental plot thing, like having the whole team that he put together die before they even get to where they're trying to get to. It's great. That's the minority of the film, though. And I don't know. I had hoped for more. So that's me. This is turning into a year of disappointing sequels for me. Not all of them, but a fair amount of stuff that I was really looking forward to is just it's not quite getting there. We had Jessica Jones season 2, Stranger Things season 2, now this, Although Stranger Things was last year, wasn't it? I don't know. I'm losing all sense of time. I'm doing almost a video a day lately. Time... Oh boy, space is warped and time is bendable. So, we'll wrap up on that note. Deadpool 2, did you see it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. You can support me on Patreon if you think what I do is worth supporting. You can follow me on Twitter. There's a podcast. There's t-shirts you can buy. Links for all that stuff's down in the description. So until next time, this council is adjourned.